time.
I mean, in 1995, my favorite movie was Speed. And so that's all I really remember doing is watching Speed with my grandma and just like being really into Keanu Reeves, which is not that different than 2020 Tessa, who does take buses. I don't watch TV with my grandma anymore, but I do. I'm into high-speed chases, and I'm still super into Keanu Reeves. So I think like 1995 Tessa would be very, very into 2020 Tessa. Still no collections of any sort. Still the attention span of a gnat. I've done a little traveling. I've done a lot of traveling. 1995, I was 6 or 7. Just like living my life in second grade, like just killing it in my own head. So much confidence for no reason. Very strange and manipulative and just like trying to prank everyone.
Oh,
and
great.
Yeah,
great.
Just into me, really into me and my sister, Tori. Shout out to Tori. But if it wasn't about like
because she looked the most like you.
No, we looked nothing alike. She was just my best friend / twin. And so, if I was doing something, she needed to also be doing it. And I was very interested in what she was doing because, like, that point we had been in separate classes for like all of 1 year. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's not in my class. I don't know what she's doing. I wonder if she's thinking about what I'm doing. What are we talking about again?
Wow.
In class. And I remember my second grade teacher, Mrs. Schwartz. And really just because I like to say her name, Schwartz. It was an interesting word for the time. But yeah, those are my musings on the year 1995. What was 95 Tricia doing?
95 Tricia was not killing it. 95 Tricia was in...
Not even to yourself you weren't killing it? You didn't think you were like the coolest thing?
No! I did not grow up thinking I was the coolest thing. I thought like my interests were cool, but I didn't think like I was cool.
Oh.
No.
I thought I was super cool. No reason to. Nothing interesting, nothing going on here that was special in any way. Just thought I was super fucking cool.
I think I was in the 7th grade. And I think I was playing volleyball. I was on the A team, but I was a bench A team player. You know what I mean? Like I should have been on the B team because I never got to play. The A team. I know, right? I was writing stories. Like locking myself in my bedroom and writing stories. And one of them was about 2 best friends and and one of them had a health condition that was triggered.
Wow. You've written yourself into a soap opera. Interesting.
One of them had a health condition that was triggered when she was at an amusement park and she went on a ride called the Demon Drop, which was basically just a ride that just drops, right? It goes high and then drops, but she had a heart murmur and it was triggered and I think she died. I don't totally remember the end. Yeah.
What a twist. Yeah.
And hi guys, this is Strong Female Lead.
Yeah. What's up? Guys, we're taking it to the year 1995. Where were you?
Yes.
Hopefully you were alive.
Where were you?
If you weren't, welcome.
Yeah, seriously, welcome. We're not sure how much you're going to love this nostalgia, but if you were alive during 90, well, if you weren't alive during 95, I'd be really shocked that you were listening to this pod, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you were,
that's pretty young.
You were 18 to 24, or 34 is our demo. If you were born after the year 1995, yeah. Well, yeah, if you're born in 1995, aren't you like 25? 20?
Yeah, you're very young.
That's not very young.
Oh. Well, yeah.
2000 is young.
Not.
If you're born in the year 2000, they are like, how did you find us? But 95,
yeah.
You got the end part of the 90s. You knew all about Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys, and you grew up on all that, like, teen, heartthrob.
God.
What is it? TRL generation. You were one of us. You're the youngest millennials, the late 2000s kids. Don't know anything about you Gen Zers. Oh, life's hard for you guys.
You know what? Yeah, I have no idea. It just seems very young, but you're right. I was like, it's like 15. It's not. It's not 15. I'm not really good at this math because everybody seems so young to me. Like, just everyone.
Yeah.
What are we? Guys, strong female lead. We look at women in movies and television. We look at representation of women, ask if Hollywood got it right. I was so happy with that earlier conversation. I didn't even really want to move into the podcast, real podcast portion of it, and the reason why we're here. But I'm your host, Tricia, and we've got, I don't know, do we call ourselves both hosts or both co-hosts? It's all very strange to me, right?
I mean,
what do you say?
True.
What's the?
Both
I know.
True.
It's just it's weird to me.
I think I say co-host usually. I'm Tessa.
Yeah.
BT Dubs. I don't know if I said that earlier, but it's true. I'm still Tessa.
You're still Tessa, and we're both
Tessa.
We're both hosts and co-hosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, we're nailing it. And Strong Female Lead is a podcast that you've chosen to listen to, and we thank you.
Yeah. We're here.
Yeah.
The movie I chose was Now and Then. This is a fucking classic. Those of you who are Now and Then stans, you know who you are. You have watched this movie at least 15 times. Like, that is what my childhood was. I was just on the phone with my mom before we started recording. I told her that we were going to cover Now and Then. And she's like, oh, I remember you and Debbie watching that in the basement over and over and over. And that's all I did. I think I had my sexual awakening to Now and Then as well.
What? When?
Oh my God, with Devon Sawa.
Okay, I feel like you've said this name before,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. Mm-hmm. I'm not connecting a face to it. Can you, like, who is he in the movie? What you see?
He is Scott. He's one of the wormers. He's the one that kisses Christina Ricci.
Okay. He's got a JTT
vibe. Oh, for sure.
Those who were not present in the 90s, that's Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement. Right. Get your lives together.
Get your lives together.
Yeah. Henceforth, only to be referred to as JTT.
And he's like a religious zealot. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. I think he's even done like the voiceover for some pro-life like teaching videos. Because I think we had to watch one.
Pro-life teaching
in high school.
Guys, gonna put the podcast on pause for just a second while Tricia explains what a pro-life teaching video is, because I've never heard these words strewn together in this combination, and so I'm very interested. Please continue.
Oh my God. That's definitely not what they're called. It's just what I thought of, basically, like pro-life propaganda video. Oh. Like, we had to watch a couple of them in theology class, either in grade school or high school. And I'm pretty sure that he was the voiceover. And there's a part of me that thinks he may have been the voiceover for the fetus.
Yeah.
He may have done the voice.
Oh, what a weird time to be a teen. You think he's so hot on Home Improvement, and then he's also the voice of an infant? Gross.
Yeah.
See, I knew
but
about
the
Kirk
fetus,
Cameron.
Like before the abortion. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know Kirk
definitely up there.
Cameron, and I love Kirk Cameron. I think he's done great work on all of those Left Behind movies, and they really got to me. They really like left a mark on my impressionable mind. But
What are Left Behind movies?
what? You didn't get the Left Behind? It's the Scared Straight for Christians. So.
Oh, that's what you did. Oh.
Yeah. And so, like, every time the streets are too quiet in Chicago, I'm just like, I've been left behind. I fucking knew it. Great. Now I have to survive the hellscape. I don't wanna. Do you think that too when it's like really quiet?
That it's like Leftovers?
Yeah.
Or what's it called? Is it called The Leftovers, that HBO show?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the Leftovers are.
Where everyone just disappears. Like, not everyone, but like a certain number of people. And then the rest of them are just like left.
I think it's the same concept as The Left Behind. I've never seen The Leftovers.
Oh my God. Now that you have me thinking, I probably should watch Left Behind. And I can't believe, maybe I subconsciously moved the conversation in this direction, but you really helped it with JTT. I picked out a documentary. Because this is where I'm going. I picked out a documentary for Zach and I to watch yesterday. It was called Hell House. And it was about those Christian haunted houses that are basically used to teach sin.
Yes, done those.
And you been to one? I've never been to one where they had basically suicide, abortion.
Oh, so many abortions. So my church would do them, 100%. Oh, yes.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Where? What church?
I'm not going to put my church on blast like that. My home church.
Okay.
Just know that they are Baptist, and they are the most Baptist. They did everything that is, the shaking pew, where it's like, oh, you better get up, you better confess your sin, because at any moment you might die and you're full of sin. Just make sure you're confessed. And then there's an altar call that took 30, 40 minutes for no reason. I mean, pray for who you want,
Oh my God.
Love, light, prayers to everyone who needs them. But 40 minutes of interactive prayer is too much for me.
So I understand why you're not going to put your church on blast. I am going to ask you offline though, because I'd like to attend one of these hell houses. I've never been to one.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if they still do it. But yeah. I
think they're still out. They're like, they come out at Halloween.
Yeah.
And it's just like a Christian haunted house. It was amazing.
I would imagine every evangelical or Baptist church, I would say anyone who has a denomination, anyone who's not non-denominational probably does a hell house and is Christian. It's interesting that Catholics don't do it. They have the most
they don't.
Sin, shame matrix is like meets perfectly there. I'm like, oh, okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Woo! Now and Then. So, guys, Now and Then is a 1995 American coming-of-age comedy drama, and it is directed by the woman who, it's directed by Leslie Linka Glatter, if that's how you say the name, but it was written, wait a second.
And Marlene King?
Wait a second. Yeah, Marlene King. Oh, but she was talking about developing it into a TV series, and that didn't happen. Okay,
but
forget it.
She did bring the world Pretty Little Liars, which is so good.
But she brought the world Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good.
I have
Are you gonna watch the new one?
Shirt. Probably. Yeah, all my shows are ending, and I'm just watching reruns of New Girl. So I'm like, I need something new to watch to pull my attention to. So Pretty Little Liars, I've got time for that. So ridiculous. So good.
I know. It's how does that song go? It's so catchy. How does it go though?
I have no idea. Wait.
One of them is dead. Like ends and then and then it has them like putting on their lipstick. They have their perfectly manicured nails. They're like high school hot. like throughout the whole thing. It doesn't matter what's happening and who's dying.
Right? I was like, maybe we should just, take a minute from brushing our hair and look for our dead friend. A little harder.
No, they can't be bothered.
Or making out with teachers, or
oh my God, I know.
Ugh.
But the people
we
in Now
should
and
do
Then,
Pretty Little Liars on the show. We have to just like set a month where we just talk about the different instances of Pretty Little Liars. The original show, The Perfectionists, Ravenswood, and whatever the new one is. We should just do all of them.
You are totally right.
Yeah,
we
maybe in February. We should just be like, we talk about nothing. That show covers the gamut of
everything.
Of everything. It's like a cult. It's forbidden romance. It's coming of age. It's fighting for your life. There's always a final girl. There's a mystery twin, and
oh my God.
So we should do it. Guys, if you want to hear us talk about only Pretty Little Liars for 1 month straight, leave us a comment and social media anywhere, just saying that you want us to do it, because I'm excited about it, but I want to know you guys want to hear it too. Oh, I'm really excited.
That's really making me happy thinking about it. And it really should, Marlene King should have made Now and Then into a series. You may or may not agree, but it basically follows 4 women who have this like pivotal summer that they share together as adolescents in 1970, and then they come back together in modern day, which is 1995. And they come back together because one of them is pregnant, and they just start, or one of them's pregnant, about to have the baby, due very soon. And then they just kind of come together, and you sort of flash back to their childhood, and it just has all of the coming of age things, parents going through divorce, the friendships kind of being like a little codependent in that amazing like childhood way. And you've got the tomboy, and you've got the girl who's technically the priss, and then you've got the sexual awakening, untaping your breasts, dealing with a parent's death, and all in the 70s with the best soundtrack ever. Thoughts? Go. With an all-star cast, let's be honest. An all-star fucking cast, and a lot of random, like really good actors like Bonnie Hunt, Hank Azaria, Brendan Fraser. But then like the cast is the lead cast: Rosie O'Donnell, Thora Birch, Christina Ricci, Melanie Griffith, Gaby Hoffmann, who is still killing it.
Okay.
Go.
Here, so I feel like if I would have seen this movie when I was also coming of age, I think I would have had a different and more strong connection to what was happening in the film. But because I saw this in present day for the first time, I'd never seen this before. I really thought, I don't know why I thought this was Stand By Me. Or like, I was like, I've seen Stand By Me, and I thought I'd seen this movie before, but I definitely had not, or at least I haven't seen it since 1995. But I didn't love it, but I didn't think it was bad. I think it was really good for when it was created, for 1995. I really liked the young cast. I thought that they were phenomenal as child or teen actors. I thought they did a really amazing job. The one thing I really didn't like about this story was the adults. I thought, even though they are great actors, I did not need to hear from them as adults ever. I don't know why that was introduced. I assume they just didn't think that adults would go see this movie, so they needed to, throw some big names in there, and that way, older people, like moms, would take their daughters to see it instead of just like giving the preteen, like, the $10 to go see a movie. Yes, and movies were so cheap back then. It probably was $10 or less.
Oh my God, like a $3.25 for a matinee. No joke.
Yeah.
That sounds truly like it must have been the 1930s, but that's not true. In 95, it was definitely that cheap.
Yeah, there was a $2 movie theater in the town that I grew up in, and we like loved it. And it was the same theater that my mom had gone to when she was a kid, and it was like 25 cents when she got there. So she would always complain about how expensive it was, and I was like, oh my god, I'm becoming my mom. Movies are so expensive. But
I know.
$15 or $20 now is expensive. That's a huge markup in 10 years, 20 years.
I think it is too. Inflation has killed us, but I don't think that's the entire reason it's marked up. I think it's ridiculous. But 25 cents, like that sounds like people who paid 25 cents to go to a movie shouldn't be alive anymore, but they are. Like, doesn't it sound like
it sounds like
truly
1910 when there's penny candies? Yeah.
That's just unimaginable. I mean, cigarettes they were like $3 when I started buying them. A pack of cigarettes could be like $3.50.
Oh.
Isn't that insane? They're like $20 now, or over 20 in New York. Okay, so you are totally right.
Yeah.
Like, looking at this as in terms of the adults, like, and looking the adult actors and the plot that focused on the adult versions of these characters, and then also just the setup of the movie, 100%. Watching it again was great from a nostalgic standpoint, but not from a movie watching standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, every single scene had music, which I loved when I was a kid, but like the beginning of every scene had a badass song, but I was like, that's unnecessary. And then also the child actors far surpassed the adult actors in this. It was shocking in terms of ability.
And I think it took away from like the depth of character to know that like all these people turn out all right in the end, because we have already seen them as fully functioning adults coming back together after so much time has gone by. So like nothing had real stakes. So you're like, oh my god, is she going to survive the interaction when she like goes to get that bracelet? We know she survives. We've seen her already. You know, it just removes like all the like, oh my god, like, you know, is she going to get out? Are they going to get to her in time? Something is going to happen that she is all right, because we've already seen her and we know. And the one who wants to be an actress, like, we know she's going to become an actress because we've already seen her come back and say she is an actress. So I'm like, everyone's dreams.
And I don't even know if it was about stakes. I don't even know if it was really about the stakes. It was truly just like, let's see growing up and how it might impact you. But nothing bad will actually happen.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it's to me, like, I wish the characters had more, that there were more stakes to what was happening. I think for me, like, this movie just kind of like, it was shorter. I want to say it was like 2 hours. But it felt like a long time because like not a lot is happening because we know everything already is going to turn out. It's like, don't frighten the kids because, you know, we need them to be okay. I'm like, no, let the kids like invest in these characters and the one that you identify with most. Like, say you lost a parent, and then Christina Ricci's character is the only one that had like any depth, in my opinion, because she loses the mom, and then they go to the library and they find out that, you know, she wasn't told the truth, and we don't find it. We can't know that seeing her adult character. We can't know that she doesn't know how her mom truly died and how it wasn't what her dad told her and that people have been lying to her. So we feel her emotion as she's feeling it, you know, in time with the movie. And I was like, oh my God, what a hard truth to take in about yourself, about your history, about how you view your parents as no longer, one is absent and one is like, all like very fallible. This, you know, godlike dad, who's, you know, in your life has lied to you about something that's so important and pivotal to you as the, you know, the only woman in your family, like having a hard time developmentally. And if you would have, I mean, you know, truth is, like, if he would have told her the truth, she probably, nothing about how she acted would be different. But this is a devastating truth that you really like feel the gut punch when she feels a gut punch. But the other characters, we don't get that. And I feel like it's because we already know they have their happy ending. And also the adult actors just like kind of phoned it in, with the exception of Bonnie Hunt. I thought she was scene stealing, so funny. I thought everyone else was just there.
Bonnie Hunt is Bonnie Hunt is never not seen stealing and funny.
Yeah, she is so funny.
She is so good.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yeah.
Can it be up? Can it be down? Is that the way it's supposed to be? There were a few other quotes. Wait, I gotta find it. It was so good. What'd she say? She's like, "Ooh, you say sex like very easily. That's very scary for mommy." It's like somebody going, "Boo, ah, that's what sex is." I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I would say what you said was very insightful about Christina Ricci's character, and I definitely related most to hers as a child. My mom didn't pass away, but I'm sure the listeners know, and I've talked about it. I know you know, my father passed away when I was very young. I had 2 older brothers, so I lived with boys, with the exception of my mom. So I did have some quote unquote tomboy, which is so dated to even think of that term, but we're talking in terms of 1995. I had some tomboy tendencies and loved hanging out with the boys, and struggled on and off with my dad's death. And I didn't fake my own death the way that Christina Ricci's character did, Roberta, but I did really relate to that moment where she's reading that article and then she says what her dad told her, that angels swooped down and took her before she could feel any pain. And she seems too old to believe that necessarily if she looked at it objectively. But when you are told those kinds of things, those sort of stories or lore or whatever, like folklore of your family when you're really young, you just believe it. And you don't question it until something happens or someone tells you something about it and tells you that it's not true. And I know it sounds so crazy, but it's just kind of shocking. And I related to not finding that out about my dad. I knew that his death was painful. No one hid that from me because he had cancer. So no one was going to say like, it was just like real easy, that kind of thing. But just in other areas of my life, I've definitely been hit over the head with a realization like, oh my God, I can't believe I believed that for so long.
Oh,
and it's so devastating. And then as an outsider, you're like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's an insane story to tell someone. But you start telling your kids that as a child, they will believe it until something happens otherwise.
Yeah. I think that's a very common experience, not to the extent in which you were speaking of it, but like that you're finding out that like, I think that's like kind of the ebb and flow with like, allowing your parents to kind of be human and be like individuals again in your mind as you grow up. Like for me, that didn't really like hit, like I think I was mad, I was genuinely like furious with my parents until like 26, 27. You start to figure out that your parents are lying to you about certain things like in your early teens, and you're like, yeah, that wasn't true. And like, so what? Santa's not real, obviously. Well, I found out that Santa wasn't real much before my teens. Thank you. I want to just make that clear. But like other things, like, like, just like, some of them are dumb and you're like, why would you lie about that? Why couldn't you just tell me the truth then? But then bigger things, and,
totally.
Bigger things. And you find out like, they're not true, or at least if they're not true and they didn't explain it to the way it actually happened, they like sugarcoated like, their involvements with it and whatever. And then you're just mad. And I'm like, I feel like if I had kids, I would want to tell them as much of the truth as I could, as it was age-wise appropriate, instead of just waiting until like, I feel like my parents are just like, well, we'll tell them when they're like 18.
It just feels like a betrayal, even though making up a lie seems totally rational, because there is, kids can't understand certain things, right? Yeah. How else do you do it? But it's still this like universal betrayal that like every child feels, where they're like, like, I mean, there was a little one, and I don't know who told me this lie, my brother or my mom, But I had 2 goldfish that I won at Bay Days, which was a little fair in Bay Village, where I grew up in Ohio. And one of them disappeared one day, and not floating at the top, just disappeared. Everyone knows that floating at the top madness when you have a fish and you wake up and you see that and you're like, and they're still like slowly like opening their mouth with their last breath. You've never seen that. Well, this one disappeared, and my mom or my brother told me that the other goldfish ate it. Now, I did not bother looking into that and whether goldfish eat each other.
Yeah.
And then in my late teens, my brother was like, no, he's like, no, of course the goldfish didn't eat the other goldfish. He's like, my friend swallowed it.
Ew!
I was like, I'm angry on a lot of different levels. Like, why? God, you lied, but then like, fucking A.
That's disgusting.
This whole conspiracy. Everyone told me the secret. I'm like, you guys were such assholes as kids. Why did you do that to me? I'm your little sister, and your friend ate my goldfish.
That's disgusting.
So
disgusting. And sad. What was the bet? Was he just hungry?
No, it was just a bet. I'm sure it was like, I bet you could. Nah. What if, like a hold this, hold my beer kind of like bet. Just terrible. Anywho, that was my betrayal. What was your betrayal?
Oh, so many. What comes to mind first? My parents just like, they did their best. But I remember like all of a sudden, my parents decided to tell us that that I had an older brother. Like there's four of us girls, 2 sets of twins, all living life, going through, stuff. And then all of a sudden, I want to say I think I was 10, and then my older sisters would have been 12. And then all of a sudden, my parents tell us that we have an older brother, who's 11 years older than me. So I was like, whoa. So where's he been this entire time? Tell me the story. And so, I mean, he's my dad's kid. He is my brother. But like, he's my dad's kid from like his early 20s. He met my mom in his 30s. Yeah. And so they've obviously always known who he was and where he was. But I don't even think that they would have told us then if he wasn't planning to come and visit. So like he had turned 18 and he was going to the Marines. And so he's like, oh, I want to go and visit my dad. And I just honestly don't think that they would have said anything. And I'm like, why does everyone seem to know this and not me? And then so finding that out at 10 was just like, that was my chink in the like godlike parent armor. And I was like, so they aren't always telling me the truth. And they are hiding some stuff from me. And then from then, it was just downhill. Just like, yeah. From then, it was like, you guys are doing your best, but sometimes your best is not great.
Family folklore, and there's other ones, but now that I know my mom is listening, I don't think I can share them. Except, again, the fun one, my grandmother's facelift. But that's like a really funny, like, hide.
Yeah, you can't keep.
But there are other ones. But there are other things where it's just, no, it didn't happen that way. And then you hear different accounts and you're like, what? And as a kid, you do feel certain things. You can kind of tell, if something's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parents lie. I think a theme of this is the fallibility. Is that a word? The fallible nature of parents, right? Because they're of that age where they're learning that. And a lot of them are learning that. Like Gaby Hoffmann's character is going through her parents' divorce. Chrissy's character realizes her mom just lied to her about sex and said it was about watering plants. And then Thora Birch's character teeny, they just ignore her, kind of, right? And so they're all starting to recognize that. And really, yeah, not a lot happens. It's just based on one summer. But I would say Gaby Hoffmann's acting was amazing. That was like tantamount to the entire movie. I think she's just a stellar actor. And I forgot how good she was when she was this young.
She's the one whose parents were getting a divorce?
Yeah, she was the one into the occult.
I'm like, no comment. I'm like, I don't really remember any standout moments in her performance, but I don't disagree that the younger actors were by far the highlight of the film.
Okay, so who was your favorite character if you had to pick one as a child, and what's your favorite scene if you had to pick one? And it doesn't have to involve the kids. Like Hank Azaria makes like a great appearance. So does Janine Garofalo.
Yeah, that's fine. She's
who's
a witch.
Awesome. I know. Oh my God. So which one do you like the most, and which one did you relate to the most?
Which one did I like the most? Christina Ricci's character.
Mm-hmm.
Which one did I relate to the most? Probably Gaby Hoffmann character.
Okay.
If I was going to be like, oh, she's living on a similar trajectory to my life at that age, then probably Gaby Hoffmann. Mm-hmm. My favorite scene is Bonnie Hunt explaining sex. I just think that that's the standout performance slash aspect of a movie. I really think that this movie was chopped up in such an interesting way. Like, I want to see the actual script for this movie. I just feel like it just jumped around a lot, and I was like, what? Or maybe that's just to like give off the impression of how kids don't always have the full story or are coming in like halfway and making assumptions based on that. But I'm like, how did
you think it just cut?
I was going to say Gaby Hoffmann's character, when her parents are having a fight, and then it seems like maybe a weekend. This has been a long weekend. Her dad leaves, and the next, like Monday morning, Hank Azaria is there for dinner and just being introduced to the family as the boyfriend. And I'm like, this was what time has gone by? This is the same summer, correct?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And the mom's transformation for that one, and I was like, when did she start dressing like this? And then like kind of like being like, oh God, I'm the mom's age right now. She's probably 35 and just like trying to like reclaim any amount of her youth as that she can, and it's just being projected as this super sexed up fembot like person, and the daughter's super embarrassed of her, but she's like, I'm still a young woman. And so I'm like, I kind of
I'm not like decrepit. That's the relating to the parents. We are definitely the parents' age.
Yeah.
If not a little bit older.
Yeah.
But we are definitely, I'm probably older actually than some of the parents. I bet they're between 30 and 35.
Yeah.
And it is wild.
Yeah.
I just can't. I'm like, so watching these movies, yeah, it's weird. I'm like, well, all right. I kind of relate to the parents. And yeah, the mom, she just wanted to wear some boots. You know, she wanted to just fucking wear some boots and look hot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite scene, well, I related most, I was like a combination of Gaby Hoffmann and Christina Ricci's character, I think. And then my favorite scene is the baseball scene where Christina Ricci hits the ball, and then the guy's like something about her mom, or girls can't play baseball, and then he's like, if your mom was alive, your mom wasn't dead, she'd teach you to act like a girl. And then she clocks him. I love that.
I like that.
Not promoting violence, but like a good like girl beating up boy who mouths off is like always extremely satisfying to the younger adolescent Tricia, who like I would have never, but that's the part of Christina Ricci I couldn't relate to. I would think about doing the things that she did, but I would never have done them. but there are definitely boys who would have, I wish I would have done that too.
Boys were the worst. They are so, ugh.
They were terrible when they were younger. Terrible in the 90s. Just terrible.
Ugh.
Terrible.
I mean, I had some like good-ish guy friends, but for the most, we are just socialized so differently, and it really starts to become apparent, I think, in this like early teen years where girls are taught to be so accommodating and boys are allowed to be so aggressive, and you know, taught that that's
and
okay.
Just mean.
Yeah.
It's probably because he had a crush on her. You know what I mean? And that's like the fucked up part of it. But then I love Devon Sawa was like cheering, and then they kiss, and like I was just so attracted to him as a child. He was also in Casper with Christina Ricci. He only came in at the very end as the ghost. But I just was really, really jealous of her in that moment, and I would act out. I wanted to be, not really wanted to like be an actress in movies when I was younger. I kind of thought maybe I did, but not like in a serious way. It was more like I just wanted to play make-believe and then be able to do it with like boys that were cute, like the ones on TV. Like I wanted to be Roberta.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Devon Sawa. Like that's what I wanted. And then I would act those things out by myself in my bedroom.
You know, I wanted to be a passenger on the speed bus and just live that life with Keanu Reeves and Sandy Bullock. I think I only watched like action and horror movies when I was a kid because I really don't remember a lot of like The Exorcist was one of my favorite movies and I would watch it anytime it came on TV, and I still think The Exorcist is just like
Did you ever act out?
The Exorcist?
Did you ever act out act out any of your favorite movies or a scene from your movie, or pretend you were in the movie? Like you were the character?
No, but I would set up elaborate scenes for like Barbies and stuff, as if they were in the movie and I was the director still. And so I'd be like I would tie jump ropes to the ceiling fans with Barbies in it, so it looked like they were like flying if it was like a superhero movie, and then just like they'd be spinning and I'd be like, yeah, and then one would fly off and then that would be cool. Or we had like this gap in the stairs where it was like the railing of the stairs, and then obviously the stairs go down.
Told me this.
And yeah, and so I would like lower Barbies like it was Mission Impossible and just be like they were trying to get into the dream house all cool, and I was like, yeah, nailed it, she's so cool. And so yeah, that's what I was doing.
I love that. Love that. I used to act out Jurassic Park, but that's only awesome. The scene that when the raptor goes in, I don't know, it's a scene with, oh my God, I can't believe I don't remember her name. Kirsten Dunst. Is it Kirsten Dunst? Yeah, it's young Kirsten Dunst in Jurassic Park, I'm pretty sure. No, it's not, but it's a girl that looks like her.
The blonde? From the first one?
Yeah, I made that up. It's not Kirsten Dunst, but it's someone that looks like her. And I used to act out the scene where the raptor at the very end would like chase them in the kitchen. I don't know, got into the building. Yeah. And basically I would just run. And I do like, you can't see me, but you can see me, Tessa.
Just looking side to side with like, as if they're like coming from the left and the right, and she's acknowledging that they're like on the left and right. Keep going.
And I would run. Yeah, I would run, and then I'd dive down, and then I'd hide behind the counter, and I would just like do that shit. And I like that Mission Impossible. I'm jealous I didn't come up with that. I would just, if I had a gerbil or a hamster, which are some of the pets I had, or I had a couple of parakeets as pets, I would just put them in the Barbie house. That's or awesome. Put them in Barbie's Corvette and just like have them sit there. And then inevitably they'd shit all over it because like that's just what they did.
Yeah.
But I would just have my bird on my shoulder because my parakeet was like always on my shoulder. So I would just like let him out, and then he'd just come to my shoulder, and then I'd play, and then I'd put a little hamster, and then I'd just have them, and I'd have the Barbies around them. Oh my God. It was so much fun. But I also think the scene, I really do love the cameos. Like these are the best acting of adults were in the cameos, like Hank Azaria, Whale Hale, like that's amazing. And then Bonnie Hunt, and then also Janine Garofalo, like when they go to her place to evoke Dear Johnny. So we haven't really talked about the plot. I mean, it's basically a summer in the lives of these kids, but it's based around a mystery. They're trying to find out how this boy, their age, this boy who died when they were their age, they're trying to find out what happened. And they do seances and stuff, which is amazing, because we should definitely get into that, because that was awesome when you were younger. But Janine Garofalo is like a tarot card reader, or I don't know what, she's a medium or something, and they go to her place and they want to talk to Dear Johnny. And I love this quote. She's like, "What brings you here?" And Samantha, Gaby Hoffmann's character, says, "We've been contacted by a spirit. His name is Jonathan Sims." And Janine Garofalo goes, "I know." And I was like, that's hysterical. You just asked her. And then she tells you, and then you say, I'm like, that is truly like what that whole thing is about. That is what that mysticism is about. I loved that. I know. It's down. I'm like, what? Oh God. It was so simple, but it cracked me up. It cracked me up. It's a great exchange.
This whole Johnny part of the whole movie, I did not understand why we needed that. I was like, why not just stay with the tension that is these girls growing up, and even if I didn't understand. There's so much that I would change if I was the writer of this. I would not make it the summer. I would make it back to school so that these girls could be interacting with each other and with these boys more. And that it would actually be spooky, like Halloween, and they're doing a seance, that there'd be just a little bit more tension with that happening instead of it just being the middle of summer. I didn't think it was necessary, especially for no payoff in the end of them not getting any resolution with what is his name, Creepy Pete or something Pete.
Well, they did.
Samantha as adults. Well, yeah, she
right.
gets it off camera. She gets some sort of resolution with them off camera. And then she doesn't mention it to the rest of the girls until they're adults. And I'm like, what the fuck? And there's no redemption for Pete.
Which is crazy.
At all after he saved Samantha's life. And I was like, but he's still known as Crazy Pete or Psycho Pete or something like that. And I was like, where was the justice then? Come on, he just saved your life and you're not even gonna tell your friends that, oh, that's Pete, or and then they still address him as Crazy Pete, and I was like, what a way to be a jerk. He can't just be Pete after he saves their life.
There wasn't any.
Yeah, and I was like,
there wasn't any type of resolution.
And if you're not going to give him,
it seemed like.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Oh, it just seemed like the resolution was only internal, in the sense that Samantha, the advice she got from Crazy Pete was to not shut out the whole world if things weren't going your way. And it's something that he learned early on. And I was like, I get it. He just wants to bike around at night. A, what's so weird about that? And B, leave the fucker alone. Jesus.
I think it was interesting that because this is a story told from the perspective of women, it's the male character that's kind of the creepy shutout, don't talk to him. And if this was from the perspective of men, it'd be a crazy old lady. But I'm either way, the treatment of old people is strange in this movie. I loved Cloris Leachman as a grandma. I was like, goals. I want to be her. I want to be all about that bingo life when I'm in my 70s. About it. I want two of my besties and nothing but bingo. I loved her, but I would have liked to see really her stand up for Pete after he fucking saved her life and just be like, no, it's just Pete, because he's shut out from the community because he couldn't protect his family. He had the most. Him and Christina Ricci had the best stories of the whole movie, in my opinion. We get so much.
I didn't understand why they were all mad at him when everyone knew the story. it didn't seem like there was any suspicion about his role in the death. So why were they all mean to him? Why did the town look at him so differently? All he did was find them. I mean, that was just like really backwards to me. I'm like, so you guys don't think he killed Johnny? Okay, why has he been excommunicated exactly?
Yeah, I guess because he was drinking when his family got murdered, and so he's drunk or irresponsible or something, or
and if he would have been there,
his fault. Yeah, and it's his fault for making the town seem unsafe. And I'm like, that's a lot of pressure to put on someone for a crime. You're right. For being the victim of a crime. And I'm like, it goes along with how it. I felt bad for Pete.
Yeah, he was a true underdog. And his only crime was being out that night. And I guess maybe what they were alluding to was maybe he was out most nights, or something like that. And it's like, okay, I mean, fair, not cool if you have kids and a wife at home to spend every night at the bar. But there was no actual evidence that was the case. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Definitely a people in glass houses situation, because every family in that brand new cul-de-sac was kind of fucked up. And so to really, point the finger. What?
Cul-de-sac. I just hadn't thought of that word in a while. I love it.
My family lives in a cul-de-sac.
I lived in a
cul-de-sac.
Fuck yeah, I lived in a cul-de-sac too.
Shout out to everyone who lives in a fucking planned community like that, because it is the strangest.
Yeah, it's so I would say one thing I noticed about this, and I knew it as a kid, and this is sort of how everyone I knew looked at this movie, and you brought it up earlier. It was the female version of Stand By Me, but in the 90s, right? And Stand By Me was supposed to take place, was it the 50s? But it came out in the 80s. And Stand By Me was by far a better movie. Stand By Me is actually one of my all-time favorite movies to this day. Maybe I should watch it again and see how I feel, but I do recall it being a legit, I saw it 1,000 times. I hope that I don't feel differently if I watch it now, but I do remember it being a truly legit, well-made movie with phenomenal actors. And River Phoenix, R.I.P. And but this was the female version of it. They embark on a mystery, and then their friendships are sort of tested, and then they grow apart. And it's that coming of age sort of story. And it really seemed like they just took directly from the playbook. They just made it a little bouncier, and they actually made it less dark. Stand By Me was way darker. It was based on the Stephen King novel, and they find a body versus trying to evoke. It was like just a lighter version, just a Stand By Me light, a little more palatable, because girls could not happen upon a body. They couldn't handle that kind of thing, and it just the acting in Stand By Me was better. But I don't think that necessarily says that the female actresses in this weren't as talented. I think Stand By Me just had a better story and script. But same thing. They picked outstanding younger actors like Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, River Phoenix. Oh, they were all so good. John Cusack was in that. Oh my God. And then also Kiefer Sutherland. Oh my God. Anyways, so good.
I haven't seen Stand By Me since I want to say a teenager. So at least 15 years. I should watch it. I probably won't. So good.
I should watch it correctly.
Too. It's very sad. So I probably won't watch it. But I highly recommend it if you've never seen it to watch it.
What do you think, Tessa? What do you think about femininity? What do you think this movie is telling us about femininity? And or masculinity. You've made some comments about how the male characters are portrayed, so it is kind of interesting.
I think the portrait of masculinity is that, for at least that women will have to tolerate masculinity, coddle masculinity, give more of themselves than they would want to masculinity in order to secure their piece of security or acceptance, which is like not a great message, but it's on brand for 1995 and for a movie taking place in the 70s.
For sure.
About femininity overall, I mean, from the perspective of the young girls viewing their parents, I'd say that femininity is passive and scary and undervalued, unappreciated, weaponized in some respects. And I think from the view of the older actors on their childhood selves, innocent, more understanding, more accepting, undefined in a way that is positive. Looking at Christina Ricci's character and just being like, she is obviously feminine and she's the most like developmentally, feminine presenting one of them. But then the need to hide that in order to fit in with her family because she feels so out of sorts. I don't know. I think I would have.
She can't talk to her mom.
Yeah, I think I would have wanted like one nurturing mother figure in this movie. I think it would have made a huge difference for them to like.
Chrissy. You don't think so, Chrissy?
No, I want like a real, like a real, like a new kid in town whose mom, like a single mom who's just like a really loving single mom, really accepting single mom, someone to like, I don't know, accept or use femininity in a way that is like more positive, like not necessarily looking for a husband, also not accepting the shit that her husband could be throwing at her, not, demonizing sex because she is a single mom, or like putting marriage on a pedestal that is so, of such importance that it like dominates her whole world. Like if she was like a school principal, single mom, new to town, but also like, everyone thinks she's like weird or quirky in some way, like she dresses weird or whatever. Actually, if I could replace a character with the character, it would be Brendan Fraser for being too fucking creepy for words, with my single mom character. Because I don't know what we were supposed to get from Brendan Fraser other than that he was creepy as fuck. I would be so ashamed if I was him to even have my name on this movie. I would freak out.
What?
Freak the fuck out.
I doubt that he is.
No, I mean, he probably thinks it's fine. And he was like, of the time, like, I don't think he was saying anything of the time that was outrageous, but like looking at it as an adult now and having this adult man speak to these children, I'm like, oh my God, oh, save them. Don't talk to him. I just wanted to like run it through the scene and just be like, don't talk to him. No. No interactions.
Yeah, that's a little unheard of now. Like just a bunch of girls riding around / kind of flirting with this Vietnam vet and then having a cigarette with him and just like chilling. I was like, that probably, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would have ended up the same way it did in the movie. It seemed very innocent. And, I don't know if it's really more dangerous. I do think that we live in a more dangerous world in certain aspects. And then I do think that we've kind of created a narrative of a more dangerous world. But either way, sitting and chilling with him, it was all very weird. Yeah, it was all very weird.
Nothing about that interaction to me was okay. I'm like, in my head, I was like, if I could make him like 18 just to their 12, I'd be like, maybe. I mean, they could go to the same school. There's just no way he was 18 or would have ever been 18. Because if he was 18 in 1970, there's no way he would have gone and come back from war in that amount of time. Unless he was injured, which she
and Teenie totally flirted. She totally flirted with him. And I was just like, eek. Or she did a little butt thing when she put her... when she put the cigarette out.
Ew. And I also think that this is part of that like damaging narrative that I wish didn't exist in like so many movies. I feel like this type of like I'm young but innocent, like Britney Spears whole vibe, but also sexy. I was like, this is disgusting, and if we could just chop that right out the movie, I would be so excited. And so like, did we learn anything in that scene? Nope. We just had to like make them somehow sexual.
No.
Ugh. are super,
Yeah, we
gross.
didn't learn anything. They just spoke to another adult about how their parents don't know anything.
But the last
that was
like line,
basically,
yeah, the last line is like, your parents don't know anything, which is what she's like, oh, I already knew that. So what the fuck were we here for? Like this was a waste of 5 minutes.
that was for the friends to see her say that and to be like, huh, what's going on? And for her and Teensy or Teeny to like have a knowing glance. A knowing prepubescent glance. Okay, so in terms of femininity, I think there were a lot of traditional aspects of femininity that played out in the movie. I do think that for a movie made in 1995, it was good in the sense that it focused on the story of 4 girls and their own adventure. I did like that piece of it, and especially when I was younger, I appreciated that. And I also appreciated some of the boundary breaking that Roberta's character did. Even though it was very, very limited, it still happened in terms of her kind of punching that boy or just kind of acting out more so than girls were seen to do. Like she would kind of act out due to the trauma of losing her mom. I think even in the portrayals of femininity where they may have been, testing the waters, they were still falling into a bit of a patriarchal view of it. Like Sam, having not been married yet when she was supposed to be, 38 or something when they were older. They were like 38, 39, probably maybe around their parents' age, a little older. There had to be something really wrong with her. Like she had to be dark and wearing black and chain smoking, and I mean, like all those things, and she damaged. She was portrayed as damaged, like
and
brilliant but damaged.
Did that damage. Somehow the divorce
right.
did that damage. I'm like,
so there was a lot of that, but I mean, I loved it. So SFL. So our criteria for an SFL is, are they top billed? Does the character have agency? And do they move the plot along? Do you think there is an SFL? And if so, or who do you think would be, is there an SFL? That's the question. Is there an SFL for you, Tessa, in this?
For me, no. But there is a round table of tiny hats. I'm confused on what the plot was. And so
they move whatever the thinly veiled, whatever the plot is in the movie, even if you don't think it's good. The story.
I don't know what the plot was.
A mystery, a summer mystery. A summer mystery for children. Let's say that is the plot. A coming of age friendship story and a mystery.
I'm gonna stick with my round table of everyone in this cast getting a tiny hat SFL because they've done almost everything for me. I do think that unfortunately this as a film, I don't think is serving the story as well as it could be. I wish that what is the writer's name? I wish that she was able to bring this as a series and that I could really get to see that coming of age. Because like in Pen 15, like there is every individual episode has a plot, and I would have really liked to get to know these characters that way. But I'm trying to think of like, why are they even interested in this in Johnny anyway? Because a headstone broke when they were doing a seance.
Okay, so who has the tiny hat SFLs? Who are the teeny hat SFLs?
Oh,
the
everyone.
girls.
The girls, young and the adults.
Got it.
Yeah, everyone.
To me, I think there's one SFL, and it's Samantha, Gaby Hoffmann's character. I think she's top billed. She has agency within, as much agency as you can have within childhood, right? Because there's already boundaries. But she has agency, and she moves the plot along. The piece of the plot that's a thread throughout the summer is the mystery piece. They would have never been doing that. They would have never been looking into Dear Johnny. So if you're looking at them learning about themselves and each other through pursuing, you know, that mystery, I would say she is the one SFL. To be honest, I didn't think anyone else was. I didn't even think the adults were. I thought just her character, Samantha. And she was the narrator too. And the whole, I mean, the adult version of her was the narrator. So if anyone else was adult version Samantha, but I think Samantha, and mostly child Samantha, the only SFL. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
My humble opinion.
Yeah.
What about the Bechdel test? They definitely passed the Bechdel test, but that's because they, you know, weren't into boys. So that's the nice thing about movies about girls who haven't hit puberty yet, is they are talking about stuff that has nothing to do with boys. So it definitely passes the Bechdel, which says a lot, because a lot of movies don't, even ones that we love.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what it is. It's now and then. I am interested to hear if our listeners love Now and Then, and if they love or hate Now and Then, and if that love or hate is coming from watching the movie as a child. And then I challenge our listeners and the SFL Latter Day to watch it again and see what you think about it in terms of current times, because it's obviously going to be dated. It's not a progressive movie, right? And it was made in the 90s about the 70s. So there's going to be things that don't line up with how we believe today. But what do you think of it in general?
Me?
Weigh in.
Oh.
No.
Me?
Listeners.
No. You guys have heard what I think about this movie. Listeners, what do you think? We'll wait.
What do you think? Let us know. This is our second, This is our second coming of age. We're deciding whether or not we're going to do, like, I don't know, we haven't decided what the next movies are. Maybe they'll be coming of age also. But Pen 15 and this, I mean, for me, current Tricia in 2020, I mean, Pen 15 is obviously way, 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 way better. But for childhood, Tricia Now and Then was just killing it, because I didn't know how funny my childhood was going to be while it was happening. So like watching Pen 15, if there were any version of that when I was younger, I would be like, that's just my life. Does that make sense? Like, it's way funnier later.
Yeah.
When I see what the fuck is going on.
Oh.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Oh wait, what would you rate Now and Then? You had to give it a
score.
Right.
Oh my God. Okay. 1995 Tricia would give this a 10 out of 5. 2020 Tricia would give this mm, 3 out of 5 pudding-filled balloons.
Ew.
For your bubbies. And there's still some nostalgia driving that decision. But 3 out of 5 pudding-filled balloon boobies. Booby bubbies. What about you?
In 1995, Tessa would say, "Have you seen Speed?" Question mark. Have you seen Speed? That's where the action's at. 2020 Tessa is gonna give this.
I'm
gonna say like between like 2.5 to 3 shattered headstones.
Higher than I thought. All right.
I mean, this isn't my type of movie. Like, I don't have a strong connection to these like growing coming of age films. This is just not what I was watching at that age during this time. Like, I feel like all of these, like, this type of movie, and until you get to like my teenage year when like 10 Things I Hate About You comes out. And then I'm like, oh, that's like a teen coming of age movie, but like a child one is just not what I was watching. So I think the nostalgia.
Ooh, 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
That's a great one. We should do that one.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I
really
love that movie. But yeah, I think up until like Bring It On and 10 Things I Hate About You and like this, like 99 was when I started like coming of age type movies. So this I was only watching action, horror, or cartoons.
So 2.5 out of 3, or 2.5 to 3 out of 5 is higher than I thought you would give. So I can breathe easy.
I mean, again, it's not a bad movie. Just, buckle yourself in.
Oh my God. So everyone, listeners, you can find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod.
Or tweet at us your favorite coming of age movies from the 90s exclusively. I don't want to hear any of this 80s stuff. I don't want to hear any of this 2000 stuff. The 90s is when we came of age. If you're a millennial, as we are, the 90s is where it's at. And so I want to hear your 90s coming of age classics. Tweet it at us at SFL_Chicago.
And remember to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. It helps us out a ton. And we haven't spoken about it, but it is the day after the election results. Kamala and Biden. Thank you, Lord. If there is a God, thank you. Didn't want to get political, but it should just be stated. This will go in our time capsule of podcast episodes, and it happened. Trump was. Well, he's still around.
Yeah, and I was
he's
like,
still tweeting.
Still tweeting.
He's still tweeting at us. He actually hasn't conceded yet.
But we're not quite out of the woods.
Still tweeting madness.
Not quite out of the woods, but yes, congratulations to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Excited to get the
Kamala SFL. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's gonna be awesome. Also, right? Stacey Abrams. Congratulations to so many people for all their gosh darn hard work in getting this, getting 45 out of office.
I think that's it. Yay. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.